Up until that very point, I was an atheist. But the idea of God existing or not existing, that was settled for me, that there is no such thing as God, and that was that. So this was the first time I really started questioning that. If this is a accidental life, we just accidentally are born. Just out of nowhere, and when we pass away we literally turn to dust, and that's that. And I came across Oprah Winfrey's show because her guest was Dr. Eben Alexander, who operates on the brains of people, and he himself thought that consciousness is born out of brain cells. And then through this experience he was able to scientifically prove that it is not so. And that really was enough for me to immediately realize that atheism was a false doctrine.
Hello, dear ones. I am Maria Eleonora Madalena from the Awakening Path Show, the place where you come to expand your consciousness. And I always bring with me someone that has been in their spiritual evolution, and one point in time they had all the problems, they went through most of the difficulties that you are facing right now. They are already a little ahead of their awakening process, maybe a little more than you or not, but I bring them here so you can relate to their story and realize that it's okay to be where you are, but you don't have to be. There is a way out for that. And today I have with me the beautiful Dr. Martina Mellery. She came from atheism to awakening, from conventional dentistry to biological and holistic dentistry. She lives in Florida. I so wish she was in California because I would change dentist today. Doctor, welcome to the Awakening Path.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you very much for the invitation.
Is that okay if I just call you Martina today?
Yes, absolutely.
So, Martina, I always ask the same question to my guests when they come for the first time. How has been your spiritual evolution so far?
It all started for me right around the time of 2011 and 2012. 2011 was more of a professional awakening where I discovered that certain substances and certain treatment modalities that we use in dentistry, mainstream dentistry, are actually having a bad effect on people's health. And so that really caused a big crisis of conscience within me because I felt I needed to do something about it. I needed to change the ways that I practice dentistry, and I really didn't know where to start. But as I was going deeper into these topics and researching these topics, I started to ask even larger questions because at that time I was dealing with physical pain, psychological pain, and I turned to the mainstream pharmaceutical industry and the mainstream doctors for help. And that really didn't get me anywhere. It just masks the symptoms, but it's not necessarily working at the root cause. So I started looking for alternative ways to heal myself. And at the same time, I started asking those questions. Why am I here? What's the point of suffering? What is this accidental life? And also, up until that very point, I was an atheist. I was born and raised in Communist Czechoslovakia, and atheism was the way of life for a crushing majority of the population. So I never even questioned that and sort of lived my life authentically. It did serve me well on some levels. But the idea of God existing or not existing, that was settled for me that there is no such thing as God, and that was that. So this was the first time I really started questioning that. If this is a accidental life, we just accidentally are born just out of nowhere, and when we pass away, we literally turn to dust, and that's that. And it was at that point when that really stopped making sense. And because I asked those questions really for the first time on the heels of my emotional and physical suffering, something told me that I should just turn on the TV and scroll through channels. And that's exactly what I did. And I came across Oprah Winfrey's show. And I never really watched her show before that. But her show came on and it immediately grabbed my attention because her guest was Dr. Eben Alexander, who was a neurosurgeon who ended up going into a very deep coma, during which time his brain stopped functioning and was in a really bad shape beyond any hope of healing. And so he was in a very deep coma for about 3 weeks. And against all odds, he recovered from that coma and his brain completely healed and regenerated. And within months, he was able to actually write a book. And in that book, he described what happened to him during the time that his body was really in an active dying and his brain was liquefied, basically. So he had an incredible experience during that time. And being a neurosurgeon, he was able to describe his experience through the lens of a doctor who operates on the brains of people. And he himself thought that consciousness is born out of brain cells. And then through this experience, he was able to scientifically prove that it is not so, that consciousness exists completely independently of the human body. And in fact, when the human body dies or is in coma, the consciousness seemingly separates from the body and is having its own and very full and colorful and very meaningful experience. And that really was enough for me to immediately realize that atheism was a false doctrine. And but I wanted to know more, just because this one doctor had this experience, and science being something that I was always very much believing in, and requiring that for me to even entertain a change of mind on any topic, I needed to know more. So I started to search for other doctors that might be bringing forth similar data. And so I came across the work of the psychiatrist, Dr. Brian Weiss, who wrote the book Many Lives, Many Masters, and then also the psychologist, Dr. Raymond Moody, who wrote the book Life After Life. And they both have chronicled and recorded clinical cases, countless clinical cases of people bringing information back from their near-death experience, where they were also in active process of dying and their consciousness went elsewhere, and they're bringing the stories of that during those interviews. And Dr. Brian Weiss, he took it even further when he was putting people into a deep state of hypnosis. They started to have spontaneous recall from other lifetimes in other realms and other time epochs, and even were able to bring account of what it was like to be in between lives and getting ready for their next life, and the interviews and the guidance that they were receiving from their masters and teachers and other very highly evolved guides. So that really started my spiritual journey, all the while I was really rethinking the way I was doing dentistry, because I realized almost every procedure that we do ends up having catastrophic effect on the human health. Namely, the immune system is under pressure. from old extraction sites, let's say, or certain other procedures. And the immune system then can either crash and burn and stop paying attention, and that leads to cancer, or the immune system can be so chronically overstimulated that it begins to react to normal things in the environment. So then people end up having lots of environmental, conditions. What I mean by that, allergies, reactions. They start reacting to whatever is in their environment and also end up having autoimmune disease. So at that point, I realized that since I cannot put that genie back into the bottle, I have to do something about this. So I joined American Holistic Association and went to their first meeting in Detroit, that was my first meeting, which was early in 2017. And as soon as I came back from that meeting, I immediately removed this very common compound, which everybody knows its name. It starts with an F, continues with an L. So FL, I had to completely remove from my practice. And that was the first time I noticed.
Purpose, just say Florida, okay?
But let's say Florida, yes. So I had to remove Florida out of my out of everything that we were using, and they put it in a lot of the products that are being used in dentistry. It's not just toothpaste. It's dental crown cementation materials, polishing pastes, sealants, and alike. So that actually turned out to be a big cleanup that I had to do. But I also noticed that it was at that time where, my staff was in disbelief what I was doing, and they thought that I went crazy. And I would even talk to my former classmates and colleagues out there, and they also thought that I was crazy. But like I said, you cannot unring that bell. And I knew if I continue with this practice, I will be complicit in hurting people's health. So I went through that transition, and then I started researching whether there is anything else that is debilitating human health that maybe is showing up in dentistry. And yes, there was a lot of it. There were mercury releasing dental materials, for example, metal in general, such as titanium implants, metal reinforced and crowns and bridges, and also dead teeth treated with root canal procedure, old extraction sites. All of that leaves dead zones within the jawbone, very toxic. It's really a necrotic bone that causes a lot of issues for the human body. So, but I have to tell you, I was so shocked and discouraged by being criticized for this that I didn't really have the courage to move forward and fully transition my practice. So I decided I was going to just sell it. I was just going to sell it. I didn't want to be involved in wrecking people's health anymore. So I was just going to sell it. And I did have several buyers interested that year. And it all fell apart last minute. And I was desperate. At that point, I was very much connecting to spirit and my guides. And, I would have mental conversations with them saying, why are you doing this to me? I'm going off the grid. Don't you want me to be out in the nature, growing my own food, being off the grid? Don't you want that for me? Why are you keeping me here? So I ended up going on a spiritual retreat to Guatemala over Christmas. My sons were spending Christmas with their dad in California. And so I decided I was just going to spend Christmas in a very unconventional way. And I went to a shamanic retreat. That was deep in the mountains on Lake Atitlan, Marco Island. And it was a spiritual retreat place. They had sweat lodge, and they had ecstatic dancing. They had channelings of spirit and extraterrestrials, and they had cacao ceremonies, microdosing, mushroom journeying, just things of that nature. So I was there for over a week. And it was really during that time when I had various sessions and just meditating and deeply connecting with the higher realms, I received the message. You're not just meant to drop your dental practice as if it was a hot potato. You are really meant to, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and see the
You should do the
transformation to its
job.
end. Yes, complete the job, complete the job. So I came back from Guatemala, and I remember it was early January 2018, and it was like a nuclear level event for my practice, because I called an emergency meeting with my staff and I said, we're doing it. We're going full holistic, and here's all the list of things we need to accomplish. We need to introduce ozone therapy. We need to introduce other modalities that are very important in holistic and biological dentistry. And that was the time when my entire staff quit all at once. There was one person that stayed with me, but very fearfully and not really trusting where the place was going. So it was a rough start, let's say. And within months, I got actually very, very sick, and I was unable to work. And that really pushed me into bankruptcy, and I almost lost my business. So that's when I decided, okay, guys, I gave it a try. I did what you told me to, but you see, you were wrong. And I reduced my entire life into two suitcases and got a one-way air ticket back to my home country, Czech Republic. And I was just going to call it a day. And once again, synchronicity of events really held me to my place again. And again, I got the feeling this is just a little hiccup that is serving you well, because you were going after it too much, too fast, with too much of fervor and intensity. And we want you to start introducing a life work balance, and slow and steady wins the race. So we wanted you to rest, and we're going to do this in a nicer, more peaceful way. So I ended up doing that. There was a little bit of a struggle, and then also the events of 2020 kind of threw a little bit of a monkey wrench into that, but not for very long. So from that point on, I felt very supported. And as I was sick, very, very sick in that 2018, I just happened to have acquired a course in miracles. It just happened.
I have it here.
Yeah,
I did get very
exactly.
emotional for your story.
Yes,
Go
A Course
ahead.
in Miracles. I acquired that book just before I went to Guatemala for my spiritual awakening, but I didn't really start fully reading it until I got sick and I was bedbound, and literally couldn't do anything else. I couldn't do anything else but rest and read the book. That's all I was able to do. And so I started reading the course, and I have been studying it since then. I finished reading it, but I keep going back and rereading, because it's such an important part of the awakening journey for those that are lucky enough to come across that book. And I find it interesting that it's called A Course in Miracles, that it's not the Course in Miracles. And because it says that the course, or a course, is a required reading, and only the time that we take it is voluntary. But it doesn't mean that it has to be this particular course. Kind of like anatomy is a required course for future doctors, but nobody says it has to be taken from one specific instructor. So A Course in Miracles is a book that was delivered to us through channeling of Jesus. The authors were channeling Jesus, and Jesus says through Tina Louise Spalding, the channeler for Jesus, which I know we'll get to it soon enough. He says it is a required course, not particular in this very presentation, but if you take the course as prescribed, it will be your fastest transformation of your soul journey. So that's what I started doing, reading the book, but I also acquired Tina's books because she also channeled many interesting books, as you know, because you are a translator.
Great,
You're a
and translating
translator.
all of them to Portuguese.
Yes, yes. The book that we like the most probably is Jesus, My Autobiography. And again, the title, it just says it all. And I think it grabs people's attention. And so, my admirations to you that you took on the task to translate it into Portuguese, because it's not that easy to translate from an English language to any other language. But it's a labor of love, and it's worth it for sure. So I was reading all of Tina's books, Making Love to God. That's another title that is very auspicious. Great Minds Speak to You. That's a great book. And
Right here.
yes, that is the one that I'm intending to translate, because that was really the first book that I read that was penned by Tina. It is about celebrities. You've got Princess Di, you've got Albert Einstein, you've got JFK, you've got Michael Jackson, John Lennon,
Marilyn
you've got an
Monroe.
incredible lineup. And they all recount their experience from transitioning from the earth plane to the afterlife, and what it's like to be in the afterlife, and how they're preparing for their next life. So needless to say, atheism is long gone. And in the meantime, I was able to make major headway in getting my practice, biological holistic dentistry, to the path that it needs to be on, because it's constantly evolving. It's constantly evolving. And you might be interested to know that the innovation in biological dentistry is truly off the hook. I happen to be enrolled in an ongoing surgery residency program led by Professor Shahram Ghanadi, who came to us from mainstream, and he was just simply interested to know what are these biological dentists doing? Does it have a merit, or are they just crazy? And I just love the fact that he came into this with such an open mind, that he just wanted to know the truth. And he found out that, yes, definitely we are onto something. And he was able to back it up with research and empirical science as we know it, which is wonderful, because now what we have is a consensus that is being formed within our community, which necessarily was not there before. And it's science-based, is rooted in evidence and science. And I really love that. I think it continues to be very important. But just recently, I started thinking, because all of the protocols that we have been developing as biological and holistic dentists, these protocols are getting bigger and more complicated, because we're now introducing other modalities, not only ozone, but let's say red light therapy, right? And myofascial release therapy. And obviously there's supplements and nutritional detox. And I could just keep going on and on and on. And I started to think, unless our patients at the same time change their mind fundamentally, where they uproot some belief systems that are causing chaos, and they're really setting into motion that disease process in the first place, unless they transform their minds, we might be just spinning our wheels. The procedures that we do could not maybe go all the way to completion of full resolution and full healing. So
Let me tell you something. I am an open channel, a very clear channel, and the guides of everybody likes to give the message through me. And I receive a message very clear right now, and there is two roads for this message. One is, are you teaching, what are you learning to others that are in interest on that, to other dentists that are interested? Are you starting to teach what it is?
No. I'm very closeted as far as that goes because every time I go to any meetings and classes and we're all starting to know each other and becoming friends, it's a beautiful community. Sometimes I a little bit here and there feel into where they're at with the spiritual. And when you say channeling or anything of that, that sends a red flag toward many Christians. But
Call
um,
intuition.
I'm
Call
sorry.
into intuition. Call intuition. Don't
Oh,
call
yes,
channel.
yes, yes. But I do feel that the time is ripe for that. I really do feel. Even our
Yeah.
interview, I think it is the clarion call. It probably is the impetus for me to, come out of that closet as well, and start introduce. I do introduce it to a very small extent in my daily practice. If I identify a patient that is open and that is awake and aware, I do start talking about a throat chakra because our entire mouth system really sits on this energetic center called throat chakra, and I'm sure you know what it is, and
Yeah.
listeners probably too. And that's where the blockage is at. Anybody who has cavities, gum disease, and all kinds of problems in their mouth, even TMJ and even cervical spine, they're really dealing with a blocked throat chakra. And so I do occasionally ask a particular patient when I sense that this conversation could be fruitful. And I asked them, where are you not expressing yourself? Because I have had a very blocked throat chakra until somewhat recently, and opening up my throat chakra, it was an evolution. It's like peeling an onion. It doesn't happen overnight. But little by little, I started realizing that I wasn't speaking up. If I was thinking something, I would just put a social smile, social face and smile, I didn't want to cause issues. I didn't want to cause an argument. So I was swallowing those words and they fester, they stay there.
Yeah, they do.
And eventually the blockage will, on a physical level, will actually cause oxygen not being able to fully reach those areas. So, when people have issues with their certain organs, it's really because of the oxygen is not reaching that organ. And the oxygen is not reaching because there's an energetic blockage. So throat chakra deals with expression, speech. How are we expressing ourselves in the world? Are we true to our true desires? And do we have a creative outlet and verbal outlet? Are we talking too much? Are we talking, do we use nasty words? Or we're simply not speaking? So it could be an array of things. But I do ask my patients that question, but I leave it up to them to figure it out because it's not for me to figure out what exactly is
Yes.
working against them. And I
So,
believe that it needs to be taken further than that at this point.
so there is two layers for what they want me to tell you. One is if you already have a community, I believe you already have a community open, you get more engaged and really participate as inactive because there are things that you are learning that they don't know. So it's time for you to really put yourself more out there for that community of people that will also learn to do what you are doing. And the other part is the clients, the patients.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that resonates with you, but I see you in a YouTube channel just like this one, make small videos of 10-15 minutes, and here and there dropping some information for people to start to listen to.
Thank you. Thank you for that advice.
So, and another way that you can reach those people, I see you writing two books. One for the practitioners, for other dentists, and another for the patients.
Thank you. That's a tall order, but I'm excited.
Of course, you have free will. I'm just passing the message, but you have free will. When the time is right, you're gonna feel very deep in you. It's okay, it is time to do it. You know, when they want us to do something, they're really not very, very strongly. So it's hard to not to do it.
And also they know when we are ready. We
Yes.
might we might not feel ready, but they know when we're ready. And sometimes we think we're ready, but we're not ready, you know?
Sometimes we
So
are ready, but there is um, everything around us need to be ready also.
yes.
Yes, and you thought something interesting. You thought you were so courageous, brave to decide to translate to Portuguese, but Jesus tricked me. That's how he did. I created a YouTube channel November 9th of 2021. December 15th, I started being the nod in my head, do the lessons of A Course in Miracle in Portuguese. It's okay. And read the commentaries for each lesson in Portuguese. There was no Portuguese for the book, A Year of Forgiveness.
Oh,
So
really?
that's
Okay.
how I translated. In 2022, I translated all the lessons. In December 31st, I had finished translating the book.
2019, because
No,
that's when
no,
it started. Oh, no,
actually
2021.
2022. 2022,
2022.
that's when
Okay.
I did the lessons. So that's how I became a translator.
Wonderful.
Because before they had not me when I had a private session with Tina, because I wanted those books to be translated to Portuguese. I was calling all the publishers in Brazil, especially the spiritual ones, and they were all turned down. We don't have time, this and that. And then Tina, I know through Jesus told it to her, maybe that's part of your mission. I said, no, I'm not a translator. So let's talk about translation. You told that you want to, I think Jesus is not you, to translate Tina's book to Czech. Is that right?
Yes, Czech
How do you
language.
perceive that feeling? How that
It
happened?
feels it feels exciting. Sometimes I jot and I sometimes I just translate little passages and sentences here and there just to see how it flows. And I always have a great time with it. And by the way, thank you for referring me to another member of your
Labor,
group, Lebor.
labor.
So he already translated the Jesus, my autobiography, and he also translated the companion book, such as yourself, to A Course in
Forgiving.
Miracles, the Year of Forgiveness. And so there's still other books for me to take on. And this one holds a very special place in my heart. And it's a very nice, leisurely reading, besides being very profound and can
Yeah.
cause, the beginning of a deep transformation for people. But yeah, it's one of my favorite books. So I'm looking forward to that process.
So Martina is officially a member of the Awakening Translators community, and she is the 10th member to join. Today we are, I think we are already covering 11 languages at this moment. And what odds
Wow.
of people all over the globe decided to translate the same books at the same time. So we were picking up on the energy that was broadcasted throughout the globe. That's what happened, and we are together to help one another to bring those books available on the native language of people around the globe. So we have Stefan translating to Greek. Carlos is translated to Spanish. I'm to Portuguese. Drajan is ahead of the translation for Italian, German, and French, and many others. So we already covering, I think, 11 languages at this moment. And maybe you that is watching us, maybe Jesus is not you to translate to your native language. Or maybe you're already even working on. Get in contact with us. Comment on this video, and you can always go to my website. I have a contact form over there. You're gonna find my phone that you can text me also, and join this community. Together we are helping bring the teachings of Jesus and Ananda all over the globe. Oh, that's so exciting, Martina. Wow. There is so much that we can do, and each one of us, we came with a specific gift. We design our life in a way that each will unfold for us to see our mission in front of us. It's not that we have to be searching for what to do. Things just come to us. And I know that the call for you is being very strong right now. And sometimes we kind of feel a little overwhelmed. Oh, come on, that's too much. Why me? But just know that you are not alone. There is a real team in other dimensions to supporting the work that you are doing. And there is many on their third D also incarnated that is just waiting for you to align with the vibration, and they also get to the vibration where you guys are ready to co-create. And I would say that I believe I already have a community for holistic dentistry. But if it's not, I'm already created two communities. One for the translators and another for the star seeds, the awakened star seeds, to help people. Because when we get organized, we get stronger. And not necessarily we have to do everything in our own. Because at the end of the day, we are just one. We also have 24 hours and we need to sleep. And they even say, oh, rest and meditate. Those things take time. Right? So we're not supposed to do everything by ourselves. But when we hear the call, it's really hard to put it apart and say, no, I'm not doing.
Translating of one of those books, it has been on my mind for a number of years, which is interesting because those ideas get put into our minds and then we gotta act on that at some point. But as my dental business started to evolve, I started being almost strictly involved in running of the business.
Yeah.
And my personal time really started shrinking more and more. And it almost seemed like it to me that I was taking steps backwards because I had less and less and less time for other things that I also wanted to do. So it was about a year and a half ago when I once again decided I've done enough for biological dentistry. Let somebody take the baton. And I just want to spend the rest of my life doing my spiritual work and translate and create communities and just really dedicating the rest of my life to spiritual study and spiritual evolution. And so I said, okay, as I was talking in my mind with Jesus again, sometimes I talk in my mind, sometimes I talk out loud. So I told him, listen, I'm gonna make a deal with you. You find me a buyer, you were gonna sell my practice. You find me a buyer, and I
Okay.
promise to you, I will start translating your book. How about that? I will start translating all of your books. And Eleonora, you would not believe, within a month, I had a buyer. I had a buyer within a
So
month.
that's what you
But
want?
then,
Okay.
but I was like, whoa, whoa, I don't like the buyer. So next thing you know, I had another buyer. And again, I was like, this might
You
not be
really want to pass
appropriate
the phone.
buyer. I started controlling the situation, you know. So then I said no. Then
You need to be
I
careful
had
what you ask.
I think that was a real lesson in that, because then I had a third buyer, and this time the offer was 2.5 times more, 2.5 times more than the previous ones.
Uh-huh.
It was a big number, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. But then I once again I noted how I was sabotaging that process. And eventually it was a no, because I just completely sabotaged it. Because I realized I really truly have a raw passion for biological dentistry, and it is extremely meaningful, and it is very beneficial for people. And this is where all the innovation is at. I'm really excited about it, especially under the direction of our course instructor, Professor Ganati. So that was the reason why I sabotaged it. And in fact, it was a corporation, and their caveat was that they're going to give me all this money, and I can stay on as an associate as long as I stop taking the classes, because they need me to work instead. So my answer to them was
It was a trap.
absolutely not. I will continue the classes. And this happened like 3 weeks ago, this final no.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started thinking, yeah, I did not. I mean, Jesus literally delivered. He brought me 3 buyers, but that was not the correct question to ask. Find me a buyer and I will translate your books. Let's see, you know. It was once again a call to action, where I'm really meant to balance my life, and not just spend all of my effort in one segment of my life. I cannot be spending 100% biological dentistry. The spirituality needs to be incorporated, but also I need to bring that into my life. I have no business giving anybody advice or teaching anything if I myself am not walking that talk. And that was a big aha moment for me, you know. So I am a work in progress, and I realized that just like A Course in Miracles eventually brings your attention inwards, it will teach you to look inwards and break down the twisted beliefs that are uh, polluting the way we manifest, that are causing chaos in our lives. We cannot just insist that other people get better and other people change. We really truly have to bring it into our own experience first, not just to be an example, but really walk that talk. And so this has been a big aha moment. And it just happened very recently, where I realized I gotta bring everything into balance. I gotta do what I preach, and these efforts they don't have to be mutually exclusive. I don't have to sacrifice what I love, which is biological dentistry, in order to serve humanity, and vice versa. You know, one doesn't have to happen at the expense of the other. And so I believe that this interview is very symbolic of the next chapter of my life, where I really seek to not only to become an honorable human being, but to serve humanity in a way that's balanced, where I'm serving my own needs and love myself as much as I serve others and love others. It all has to be in balance. You cannot love yourself more than you love others, but also you cannot love others so much more than yourself, or you are excluding yourself from that equation of compassion and having a fruitful life. So it is an exquisite labor, and it is exciting. It has many dark nights of the soul. We do touch the rock bottom periodically. And but I can tell you right now, I honestly couldn't do this without the higher guidance. That a lot of it comes through physical means, such as A Course in Miracles, or through Tina Louise Spalding, who is a very clear channel for Jesus. And I follow her broadcasts, and I go to the retreat. But it's also, we don't, technically speaking, we don't need Tina to channel. We don't need the book, but it's a wonderful, wonderful stepping stone that can get us to the other side of this
Yes.
experience, which is a human awakening and a path of evolution and mind transformation, and eventually reaching the state of enlightenment, right? So,
Yes. I want to call attention for one thing that you told. For example, the idea of spirituality was a monkey in the middle of the forest, meditating for 23 hours a day, not really having a life.
mhm.
That's long gone. Everybody have been called to find the balance, to be spiritual while living in the world. For example, sometimes I feel like I literally, when I'm just relaxing, sometimes I feel that my leg is another dimension or my arm or something, but there is something that's really ground me, my family, my husband, my kids, my dog, they ground me. And I would like to be just translating books all day long, or making YouTube videos, or even helping my clients. I'm a Reiki therapist and quantum healer. And but I need to attend my kids, for example. I need to feed them. There is no postponing, there is no cancellation, rescheduling. You need to feed them. You need to stop whatever you're doing, you need to feed them.
Yeah, I have
So
two sons, and I was
you
a
need to get
single
a
mom, so
balance.
I know. Huh?
Yes, you really need to get a balance.
Yes, yes.
And all of us has the ability to connect, to activate our gifts.
Mhm.
And some of us at this moment already is still in denial. No, I'm battling intuitive. I don't really want to go in that route at this time. I don't want people to look at me weirdly. When I
Mhm.
started channeling, I hid it from my husband for almost 4 years.
Oh, wow. That's a long time. But
Yeah,
I relate to that, and I completely understand that.
but I was very relieved after I told him, and I had some very intense times, but it's worth. And now I developed to the point that I can just speak. Before it was automatic writing. So I'm being guided to channel for you,
Oh,
and
thank
I
you.
ask that you pick one. Would you like your higher self, or you'd like Jesus? And do you have a question?
I'm gonna have to go with Jesus.
I felt that. Do you have a question for him?
Do I really have the discipline that it takes to take these lofty goals to the next level?
You already know that answer, but I'll let he answer.
Well,
Okay. Dear child, I am that one you know is Jesus. And what a wonderful moment. What a blessing to have you both together, spreading light, knowledge, and wisdom to wherever is open to hear. You are one funny one to work with, let's say, to help, to communicate. You ask questions that you already know the answer. And the reason why is because you are me, you are you, you are you. There is no separation. When you ask the questions to me, actually you're asking yourself, and you just need to go deep and access that answer. Yes, everyone, you have all that takes to take to the next level. And you may think, oh my goodness, why my soul chose such a bold mission to be on front or something so revolutionary. You studied a lot on the in-between lives. You prepared yourself. You are ready. You think that things just fall in your lap, that you're being true to the lions. You had a lot of preparation for that. And yes, you have everything that takes to do the job. But you're not doing alone. You never meant to do it alone. There is a lot of light beings on the other side, on the other dimension, supporting the energy, bringing all the synchronicities. And many others incarnated with you, and that started to come into you to interact. But what you want to call your attention is, you are a powerful manifester. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you ask, because you shall receive. So do not entertain ideas that you don't really want to happen, because you are a powerful manifester, a powerful creator. And yes, that was done by design. You needed those abilities to be able to do what you came here to do. Now that you are aware, you know, with thoughts to entertain, which questions to ask. It's okay to play and challenge the universe, for me, just to be aware of what exactly you really want. If you don't know, it's okay, ask for clarity, and the clarity will come. You as a human being at this point, you don't need to have access to all the answers. The answers will come when the question gets formed. When the question comes to your awareness, and then you are ready for the answer. Imagine you are climbing a stair, and each step that you go up, a door open, and you see everything that's there. You don't need to have all the doors open at the same time that you have to look all at once. That will be overwhelming. Go to the next step open the door, experience everything that that moment has for you. After you're done to the next level, and then you go up another ladder and not another step, and so on. But I wanted to tell you that you are in the right place in the right time, and you can never do wrong. All choices bring you a different experience, and we are guiding you all the time. And you are a good listener most of the time. We love you. We support you. And we are very, very proud of you. I want you to know that you are doing great. Stop being so hard on yourself. Stop thinking that you're supposed to have been doing more and more and more. You are doing great. And we are very, very proud of you. And yes, find some time for fun, rest. We love you.
Thank you so much. That was very powerful. And it went straight to the crux of it all. So thank you.
You're welcome. That's the second time that I channel Jesus in recording. The first time I decided to do
Really?
it online, and he was the first one to came because somebody was asking a question, and I'll say who would come. He was the first one to come, and I said, seriously, you, can you please go to the back of the line? But okay, if you decided to channel online, and the first one that you will channel is Jesus, so okay, you are ready for anyone.
That was brilliant. Thank you. You know, today is an auspicious day, particularly for my astrological sign, because Jupiter just a couple hours ago moved into Cancer. And my sun sign is Cancer, and I also have Cancer rising. And Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. And it's happening today at that exact moment. We're having this podcast, and you channeled some very profound words of encouragement, and I think I really needed to hear that. So thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. And thank you for coming. It has been a blessing. And I know that this information will help so many people. So many people relate to it. And what I'm seeing is, for example, oh, but I don't really have time to make videos. But after you have everything set up, you don't really need to spend like 30 minutes getting ready. In your practice, there in your room, just this, and then the intuition will come, the ideas will come. Even if you do a 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, like on your practice life, you don't need to be like, okay, let's prepare the studio. And doesn't make it big, make it simple, make it real. Okay, this is the daily life of holistic dentistry practice. So if you just put in your daily without give it too much production to it, it will flow and people will identify with the message. For example, I got very emotional when you just get your luggage and went back to your hometown. But We are real people. I'm not CNN. I don't speak English perfectly. Sometimes I think that even Portuguese speaks perfectly, but I'm real. I'm here. I'm open, and that's what you get. And I encourage all my guests to do the same, and you did beautifully today.
Thank
I'm the
you.
one who say thank you for accepting my invitation.
And
And
thank you for being
welcome,
so inspiring.
welcome to the Awakening Translators community.
Thank you. I'm
That
so
was a
happy to be
pleasure.
here.
So I would ask you the name of those major books that merge science with your practice to listen the description. Have you read The Biology of Belief from Bruce Lincoln?
I know of the book, but I have not read the book. So you
You're
want me
gonna
to give
love
you a
it.
list of the ones that I have
Yeah,
read on
yeah,
the
the
topic
ones you
of,
mentioned. Yeah, I like when they bridge it, the spirituality with science,
I see.
because to be honest, I don't care much about science. I know many people are gonna hate me for that, because I know what's true, and that's I just know things. So I don't need extra validation, especially if it's only the 5 cents. But many people need that. And I respect the people that need, and I'm very grateful for the ones that really close that gap. And Bruce Lincoln, he did that beautifully. The Biology of Belief is one of the best books that I read.
Mhm.
Well, if I would put like a top book, I easily put like 100. It's hard to choose one. Well, maybe if I have to choose one, it'll be this one. But it's really hard to choose one because there is so many great material out there. That's why I created a bookstore, Christ Consciousness Bookstore. It's affiliate of Bookshop, and there I added the list of books that I read and assisted my one awakening. And I want to add those that you mentioned too, so people
I
can.
think the many lives and many masters and life after life being written by clinical scientists, uh, I and also Proof of Heaven by Dr. Alexander Ibn Alexander, that neurosurgeon that I was telling you about. He does dedicate a full chapter to medicine and how current mainstream scientific understanding of where the consciousness comes from, how really flawed it is. And that was really the first book. Like I said, it was written by a doctor and a scientist, and that was extremely
Yes.
important to me. So I think those three books, Proof of Heaven, Many Lives, Many Masters, Life After Life, were very scientific in my opinion. There were other couple of books that are very obscure books. I don't think they're in print anymore. It was a lot of Archangel Metatron channeling, and it was all science and so heavy that it was almost difficult to read. Like I felt like I needed to be a physicist to read it. Nevertheless, I got through them, and they were truly mind blowing. But I think these three books that I listed, they're in print, they're easy to get. I think it has already helped a lot of people, and they are as scientific as you can have them be, you know.
Amazing. Yeah, so we're gonna listen then for you.
Okay. Yes.
And I thank you that is watching. If you have any question for Dr. Martina, you can write on the comments that I will make sure that it will come to her. And next time that she'll come to the Awakening Path show, she'll come with Liber, and we're gonna make a podcast about the translations in Czech. Martina, thank you for coming. Thank you for give some of your light to the Awakening Path show, and see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.